Hello and welcome to the Real Shots of 56 evening cryptocast. Thanks for joining again and thanks for your time tonight. Today is Sunday evening in the United States West Coast, and we are coming to you live from the Real Shots of 56 headquarters. Who am I kidding? Coming to you from my spare bedroom. Anyway, today I want to talk to you guys just really talk to you guys about the charts. Um, Again, not a whole lot of news going on lately, so it kind of gives us time to just concentrate on price action, the charts, what they're telling us, and if you are a trader and you like to do this sort of thing, then it's probably a good time to just ignore all of the noise and just focus on trading. Which it's particularly a time that I like when there's not a whole lot of buzz going on, not a lot of distractions going on in the market. And again, it just allows me to hone in on the price action and the charts, see who's moving, what's not moving. We are a little bit on the green here in the last 24 hours. Um, so it's always a nice thing to see when the change in 24-hour digits are in the green here. Not any big gainers, not any big moves or anything like that. Ethereum just having a solid 5.88% move in the last 24 hours. We'll take a look at Ethereum here in a little bit. But currently we're at $327 billion market cap. Our 24-hour volume still at 60 in the 60s range. This is the lowest we've seen it in last few weeks. The last time we hit $61 billion in trading, we actually had a spike up move and moved back into like the lower $80 billion trading. Bitcoin dominance is still pretty high at 62.1%. I really don't think um, I really don't think we're going to see that number dwindle down too much. It might go into the 50 percentile, but not. I don't think it's going to go any lower than that in the near future. Again, continuing the narrative that we're not going to see a altcoin summer or an altcoin run just yet. And it's highly debatable that we even got one last time. If we go back to 2017 with the huge run up in Bitcoin and the altcoins, really what they did was they followed the market, they followed the price action. We didn't see Bitcoin taper off, although we did see this digit here, the 62% dominance digit here, go down to the 30 percentile. And then we did see a huge amount of altcoins running. However, they were chasing after Bitcoin. They were having the same reaction that Bitcoin was having. So, you know, I, the way that you would define a altcoin summer would be if Bitcoin, kind of the opposite of what's going on right now. Bitcoin staying stagnant, not really doing much, staying pretty stable, and then you see all sorts of altcoins running around and just having insane run-ups, insane price action, a lot of volume, a lot of volatility, 20, 30% gains on whatever shitcoin you want to point out. So definitely not something that's happening at the current moment, and I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon again. So, um, geez, how do I get rid of this guy? God dang. Anyway, so yeah, I don't think we're going to see any of that anytime soon. So just sit back, relax, enjoy maybe trading back into Bitcoin, and seeing this number stay pretty solidly in the 60 percentile until told otherwise. So again, 2017 we didn't really see an altcoin summer. We saw the altcoins joining in on all the fun with Bitcoin. So it's highly debatable. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree down below. Uh, Always up for a good debate. All right, so taking a look at Bitcoin, we're trading at currently 11,000, almost 400. Just saw the ticker go up to 400 and then drop to 390, 11,390. Looking at the 4 hour here, we are, we're definitely trading within this trend here. Bitcoin I being able to break this top resistance here and try to chase after prior highs. It could be due. I mean, it certainly feels like some sort of exhaustion in the market right now, especially after the holiday and the weekend. Usually, weekends are lackluster, and not a whole lot of price action. Usually, right? Most often. Sometimes we will get some surprising moves during the weekend, but not that's not a typical. That's more of the exception and not the rule. But we do see here that Bitcoin has kind of consolidated here in this range. Talking about this here between, call it 11,900 and the low of, we'll call it 10,771. So if you've been trading that, I mean, you've been probably making a couple percentile every on every trade. If you buy the dip, sell the top, so on and so forth. But right now, it's actually posturing pretty good. I mean, it's definitely still a bullish posture more than anything. We do see here staying on top of the 30, the 21, and pretty much on top of every moving average. So that is a great sign in my eyes. I do think if it wouldn't take much to break off and above the resistance line here. I don't think we could potentially see a move here immediately into the new week. We did also get just a new closure of the weekly candle just about hour and a half ago. We got a new daily candle and we also got a new weekly candle. So we closed this candle at 11,406, which is pretty darn bullish, and we stayed above the 30, which we wanted to see on a daily candle. I so for We wanted to see it close around above the 30 simple, so that we can be a little bit more assured that we do have more room and more momentum to the upside. We This is a brand new candle here that we just opened up an hour and a half ago. It is trading right at resistance, but again, maybe in the new day tomorrow, when the U.S. starts to trade heavily, we'll see this turn to the upside. And there are other factors too that I'm seeing that I also make me feel a little bit bullish or more on the bullish side. We'll talk about those in just a second here. But again, we did close above the 30. We're trading currently above the 30. We could come back and retest the 30 again and maybe the 21, but ultimately that would mean that we break out of this formation here, and then we're going to have to start a new trend, right? Because this trend would be coming obsolete here, I think, pretty soon. It is completely full, and we haven't gotten the move, so I do anticipate a move to a move, to hopefully the higher side. That's kind of where I'm leaning. I'm leaning more to the bullish side of things, starting pretty early on next week, starting Monday tomorrow. If you are on the eastern side of the world, you probably started a new week. Happy Monday to you, and also want to take the time to congratulate the women's USA national team for winning their fifth World Cup. Well done, ladies. Very, very well done. Definitely deserve the time to congratulate and just say how proud we are in the United States. Getting back to this, yeah, hopefully, if you're on the eastern side of of the world, then you'll start seeing some trade action happening already. But and we're going to lag behind here in America, and we'll probably see some price action to the upside. Again, there are some other signs that make me feel a little bullish. Again, we closed the daily candle above the 30. We are trading above it right now. And even if we come back and retest the 21, I'm still feeling pretty darn bullish. We would have established at that point a new trend, having set a lower pivot here or a lower low. And also, if we look at the weekly, we did close way above this prior weekly candle. We closed this candle at 11,406 as well, along with the daily, and we are again currently trading above it. So it definitely feels like continuation here. We also take a look at the RSI here. squeeze in so we can get a better look here. So using the RSI with stochastic RSI with the EMA cross on it, we do see here that we could potentially get a bounce off of the 21 EMA here on the RSI down here. And if we do get a bounce here, definitely expect continuation. Although we are turning into the more neutral zone here in the RSI, again, I do think if we do get any sort of decent momentum to the upside on the bullish side, I do think we're going to find the RSI taking a turn and also cross to the upside and into the again bullish zone up here with the RSI. And if that happens, then we could definitely potentially see Bitcoin retesting prior highs at around 13,000. For the more immediate time frame, I do think we're going to go back to the $12,000 range and then reassess from there. But if we go back to the 4-hour here, and let's adjust here a little bit. All right, so if we do, again, if once we break out of this triangle here, break through this resistance area, I do think this will be the very first or very next stop is 11.9 or 11 or 12,000 actually. And then from there we can definitely go back and retest the 12.4 area, 12,400 right around here. Once we get to this point, this will be a key level for me in my eyes. Once we get to this point right there, and I do want to change the color on this to have it represent more of a resistance area, point of resistance. It is again going to be key. If we do fail to break it, we could come back down into the current levels, 11.5. We'll maybe have a nice bounce off this area, and then try again. If we fail again, then we could definitely see it coming back down to 11.3 again, and then we'll reassess from there. But as of right now, it does look like it could again retest the $12,000 level, and then a 12.4. And so look out for that. 4-hour RSI is looking pretty bullish in my opinion. We did break through the 21 EMA here, came back down, retested it, broke through to the downside, but then had a nice fresh cross to the upside. And it looks like we're heading up on the 4-hour, and usually that also translates into the higher time frames. So let's look at the daily, see if we have confirmation of that. We do see here just a fresh cross to the upside here on the RSI. Now we're going to find resistance here with the 21, but then if we break above it, we can definitely say we can go for a nice little run. In fact, we've seen it do it in the past. Anytime we do get past the 21 here, anytime we do break the stochastic RSI, we break the 21 EMA here, we do see that we get into the more bullish zone once we break through it, right? We do see it here setting this high here and then staying bullish for a long period of time. Basically, we broke it back here June 14th, and I mean it has stayed on the bullish side of things for a very extended period of time up until June 28th. So I mean we've had a few weeks where we were definitely enjoying setting these higher highs all along the way. So again, if we do see that, if we do see the daily RSI here with the fresh cross to the upside, breaking through the 21, we can definitely have another little run like we saw right here, right, for a couple of weeks, right? And we also see it back here. Once we break to the upside, it remains on the upside for a good extension of time here. Let's bring up the actual chart over here so we can see it better, appreciate it better. We see once we broke up here, stayed on top of it, bounced off of it, off the 21, and stayed pretty much bullish until we made our first real significant run back in April, early April Fools or April 2nd. And again, just staying on top of it for extended periods of time. We do see here breaking, but then regaining it and coming back up, retesting the bullish zone. And then we did see a slight, just a slight dip, right? We did see a cross, nothing too significant. and then we saw again the RSI crossing up to the upside and piercing through the 21 again, and that's when we really started seeing these massive, gains that really took us from, we'll call it, from the $5,700 all the way through to, let's see, what was the high here, to 8,800, right? So pretty convincing moves. So yeah, definitely, this is something that is making me feel like, early on next week we should have, we got the fresh cross of the upside, so we could definitely potentially see a nice little run up in price, break through this resistance line, and go set higher highs. Let's look at the weekly here real quick again. On the weekly, um, tick down into the neutral zone. We should hopefully, again, once we pierce through this area, we should find plenty of support there. If we hit it, if we hit the 21, we may not even get to hit the 21 and just bounce off of it from right where it's at now. But that is going to take us. It's going to take some definitely some buying pressure off of this area, and maybe that move into the 12,400 that we were just talking about. Yeah, so definitely, liking where things are at. I particularly am in a trade in Bitcoin, taking a look at the more of the macro trend here, and definitely making me feel like it's got some legs to run. So I will remain in this more bullish posture until I think, if we go back into the 4 hour here, a little bit more, squeeze it back in, maybe too much. All right, so I'm not getting bearish until we break the 200. The 200 has acted as key support all along the way. And if we look at the 4 hour, I mean, just perfectly, right? Anytime we come back and retest it, we've actually have bounced off of it to the upside. There was a time where we, got a lot of separation and got really, really bullish. And right now, still acting as solid support. If we do break the 200, then again, we're going to get into that fill in the gap talk at 8,500 with the CME futures. Let me actually go back and show you a little bit what I'm talking about. Right here, there is a gap that goes back down to 8,500 in the CME futures contracts. So we could potentially go back and fill that. I mean, not saying that we are going to do that right now, because these things never have a time frame for them to play out. However, I do think eventually we are going to hit that and fill this gap. But again, it doesn't look like we're going to do it anytime soon. Not this week, or maybe not possibly maybe not the next week. Let's get back into the Bitcoin chart. Binance. There we go. So yeah, unless we break the 200 here on the 4 hour, if we break the 200 here, I mean, it's quite a significant move from here, from 11, we'll call it 11,400 down to 10,150. We'll call it that. 10,150. If we break the 10,150, then we could definitely come back and retest the 377. If we do not get a bounce off of the 377, then I do think we're going to fill the gap at 8,500, which would be right around here, right below the 377 actually. So, I mean, that is definitely feasible. Again, not in the next coming week, but is definitely something that I do see happening before the end of the year, maybe. Again, no set timeline. I could be completely wrong on this. You guys can tell me if I'm missing something. Definitely leave it in the comments. But I do think we could potentially come and fill this gap before the end of the year, because if we don't, and since we are, in my opinion, in a bullish market, or the beginning of the bullish market, the longer it goes and the longer we see Bitcoin going up in price, the harder is that possibility, or the less the possibility that we're going to have to come back and reclaim the $8,500 range. In my opinion, that would actually be great, because it would be a great time, or a great price to come in and buy the dip for a lot of people, not just me. So it would be actually nice, and we can get that over with and move on and never talk about it again. I know some of you don't like to hear that, but you know that's definitely something that's out there. Keep that in mind. Again, not getting not getting bare on Bitcoin at all. I do think it if we do make this move, it would be a healthy retracement. But overall, I think Bitcoin's is definitely going to go and reach for higher highs. Say we do hit it around this area, Bitcoin's definitely going to make this sort of move uh, in the eventuality, getting past this $4,000 or $14,000 prior high. Okay, so definitely long term bullish in my opinion for Bitcoin. All right, so let's get into the alt. Ethereum just had a nice 5% bounce. Sort of wants to flag out here. We're looking at the 4 hours still. Too early to tell. Way too early to tell, in my opinion. It was trading in sort of the same formation as Bitcoin. Setting this, and that's what I was talking about Bitcoin doing here. It was definitely trading above or trading within this pattern here, just kind of like Bitcoin has been doing for the last few weeks. And finally breaking out, right? And now it's actually sitting on top of the 200, the simple 200. And if it does stay above it, I do think with Bitcoin being, as of recently, being pretty quiet and pretty stable, I do think we can bounce out the 200 and maybe retest this area here at the 319, 320 range. And if we break above it, then we could come back and retest this prior high here at 354, not counting the wicks. But again, if we can, we've actually closed a couple of 4-hour candles on top of the 200, so definitely makes me feel very bullish. We also see, guys, we bounced off the 21 EMA here on the RSI, and just got really erect and bullish here with the RSI on the momentum on the way up, and we're now into the bullish territory. So I do think we can definitely potentially see. I'm definitely going to be calling a next stop here for Ethereum. So as long as Bitcoin does not go and take a massive dump and ruins the party for Ethereum, I do think we are going to see Ethereum hit about 319 or 320 right there. I'm going to change the color here to represent resistance in this area. So again, bouncing out the 200 simple and retesting the 320. I do see here as a very likely scenario. It might take a few days for this move to actually play out, but I do think we can even reach have a wick up to this region, perhaps maybe reject off of there and come back down to this area where the 200 simple is going to catch it and provide support for it. This would be about a 4.85% move, almost 5%. It could potentially wick above it and capitalize at 5%. Not a bad trade there, guys. So definitely looking bullish for Ethereum, especially with the new week, new day out of the holiday. I do think we can definitely use this to propel the price upwards. Having left the middle of the week last week with the Independence Day holiday here in America, a lot of traders just kind of halted operations and packed it up, went home, enjoyed the weekend, and coming back, I think once everybody sees the setup here, everyone can start to get bullish. Also, another thing to look at is going to be immediately the longs and shorts. So we ended the week with sort of a mini bounce here for the longs, right? So definitely want to see what this is one of the first things that I'm going to check tomorrow morning is where we open up with the longs and the shorts. We see the shorts getting really wrecked here. A lot of people abandoning their shorts. And we do see here that it started to have a correction to the upside. But then, it looks like we ended on a red candle. So definitely very, very interesting to see that tomorrow morning and see where we start. Because again, this will be the one of the signs that everybody's going to be looking at. Where is the market overall? How is the sentiment? What is the sentiment around the market? Are we bullish or are we bearish? Right. Personally, I do think we're going to see an uptake on the longs, and maybe perhaps the shorts will remain where they are, based on what I'm seeing in the charts as of this past week. Um, all right, so let's go back to Ethereum. We're looking at the daily here. Um, we were we were definitely heading into the more bearish zone, and we did have a bounce right below. We did touch it, but it was more of a touch and go. We did have a cross. We do have a cross here to the upside, which does correlate with this move here perfectly. We're gonna have to go test this 21 EMA, which is very, very telling, and I don't think it's coincidental that we see this on the daily, and then we have this next line of resistance here on the 4 hour. So again, this here correlates. This line of resistance here at 320 is correlating with the daily chart right here. Right. So this uptick here into the 21 is going to be our target of 320. And then from there, we'll see if it does reject from there, then we'll see it come back down. Obviously, have another dip. But then if it does not, if it goes through it again, we're gonna go back and retest this area, because again, once we break the 21 EMA on the RSI, we remain bullish, right? We remain bullish. So again, we'll be looking out for a break above the 21 EMA here on the RSI. If it does, we can definitely say that it's very possible that we go back and retest the $340 range for Ethereum. Let's look at the weekly real quick. See how we're looking. Yeah, and yeah, looks like we could have continuation. It looks like we closed at 304. Yeah, open this at 304.72. Although we are trading currently right below it, but it's not significant enough to make a call either way. All right, so yeah, but overall on the weekly it looks very bullish. We did have the RSI have a cross back here down, but again the shorter time frames and the daily is looking very bullish in my opinion. Well, the daily is starting to look very bullish. Again, just depends on what happens at this point at the 21. All right. That's all I got for Ethereum. Let me know if I missed something down in the comments. If you want me to talk about something else within Ethereum. Let's go to Litecoin. Litecoin again. I do think it's continuing a consolidation pattern. It is trading on the daily here above the 55, the 30. We have the 30, the 21, and the 100 simple coming up right above it. If it does look like, let's look at the RSI. It just got a fresh new tick to the upside. So I mean, a lot of these coins are having the same sort of behavior, sort of action, looking like they want to have a nice bounce. We could potentially come back if we do break. The 30 is again pretty easily broken through. It will act as resistance, especially since the 21 and the 30 are coming around the same price area in convergence with each other. So this could act as a little bit more of a level of resistance. But if we do break above it, then that would be a very bullish sign for Litecoin. We definitely can retest the 100 simple. And if we break above that, then this is our next target at 134, which I would like to see, because I've been holding on to a long-term position on Litecoin. So this would be the next area to retest here, and we are looking at the daily again. If we do break above this, the 21 EMA here, I do think we could retest the prior high of 143 right above here. So 143 would be our next resistance, and and from there, if Bitcoin goes on a massive run, Litecoin has been joining in the fun as well. So we could potentially see it break this prior high, and maybe go into 145, 150 range, right? Okay. And keep in mind this is on Binance too, so depending on where you trade. Let's look at the 4 hour and see what the 4 hour is telling us. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Um, Yeah, just got above the 21 EMA on the RSI. So we could potentially again see as early as tomorrow morning, Monday, in the United States, we could see Litecoin making a try for these higher levels. Um, Again, we on the daily is showing that the 30 and the 21 coming in convergence to create a pretty convincing resistance. Um, Go back to actually. Yeah. So we'll have to break 123 to the upside to actually get very bullish on this, which I don't think it should be a problem if everything plays out the way it's looking right now. This is only technical analysis. This isn't financial advice, and certainly I don't have a crystal ball. This is just what the indicators are telling us. So on the 4 hour again, Litecoin it is finding support here, right above the 21, and squeezing. I mean, just squeezing between the 21 and the 100 simple. Um, but overall, the sentiment, in my opinion, again, is going to be bullish. We just got a cross to the upside there. Let's go back to the daily. See, got a cross here as well to the upside. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly, if we have the expected result with Litecoin, then I do think we can bounce off of the 21 here and get back into the bullish territory. I mean, and every time we bounce off of it, we didn't quite bounce off of it here, but I mean, we certainly went and retest the more bearish neutral zone, or actually the neutral zone period. We retested it, bounced off of it, and remained within the bullish zone for the last few weeks. We're since middle of May basically. So again, we could have, depending on what happens early on next week, we could definitely have a cross to the upside here and regain the bullish territory on the RSI, which would be great things for Litecoin. Again, maybe retesting the 150 prior high, which would be great. It would be absolutely great. Let's zoom in a bit here. There we go. All right. So looking at the 1 hour, 1 hour is looking like a lot like the 4 hour right now. Just trading within the ribbon of EMAs here. So not gonna get a whole lot out of this, except that we just have to wait till perhaps tomorrow and find that there is some confluence with the other coins, Bitcoin certainly, with Ethereum, and we do see a tick to the upside. So um, definitely looking forward to tomorrow. That's all I can say. Link, same sort of thing as Litecoin. Definitely a lot of consolidation going on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Try this again. All right. Definitely trading within this triangle here, looking like consolidation right here. We're definitely to the point where we're filled. Now, scary thing. Well, this is the 1 hour, so I'm not going to hold too much weight on this. But we did break the 200 EMA here on the 1 hour, but found support here at the bottom of this formation here. bottom of this trend, of this triangle, and coming back up. Now the 200 is actually acting as resistance here. So overall, Link is looking to me like it wants to continue on this pattern here, trading within the triangle, continuing its consolidation. But then overall, I think longer terms, it is looking sort of exhausted to me. Let's look at the 3 hours, see what the 3 hour is saying, because it is looking pretty exhausted to me at the moment. Look at the RSI. Try to get into the more neutral zone, but failed. Not even getting near the 21 and coming back down into the bearish control zone. So we have the 89 and the 200 simple coming in convergence as support, along with this bottom triangle formation acting as such, and just textbook price action here, just bouncing off of it, staying on top of it. But it's looking tired. Look at this here. This is the 3 hour. Let's look at the 4 hour too. We should find some sort of confluence with that. Look at that. Remained in the bearish territory, and we just got another cross to the downside with Link. So again, I don't have a crystal ball, but it does look like it wants to retest the 89 down here at around $3.05. If it breaks through it, then we have the 200 simple coming in on the 4 hour at 289, and then the 200 simple, which, if I'm not mistaken, has served as great support. I mean, just usually just having a pretty sizable separation between the price action, the bottom price action, and the 200 EMA. So I'm until it breaks the 200, kind of like with Bitcoin, until it breaks that area, I'm not feeling too bearish. I do think, if I don't think we're going to see $2.41 here with Link, but if we do, you bet I am going to be a buyer at this range. I just think Link has too much support at the moment, too much momentum. But I would like to see a move down to at least this area here. I would start buying in between the 89 and the 200 simple here. Call it 295 would be a great price for anyone to pick up, and it would be right below this prior low here. Would be a great price to come in and pick some up. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I think I will be doing. It's always good to have a plan. And so when the price action does happen, and you see Chainlink or whatever coin you're into, and you're planning on maybe getting into, it's always good to have a plan before the move actually happens, so that when you see the price where you had envisioned it, that you already have a plan to go in, and it doesn't catch you by surprise. And then you're like, oh, what if it goes lower? What if it keeps going down? And you actually miss the opportunity. That has happened to me on several occasions where I just don't plan. I don't set up my buys, or just don't pay attention like I should, and I end up missing some great opportunities. So I'm telling you, so it doesn't happen to you. Maybe I like to think that a lot of you guys are way smarter than I am, and we'll actually have a plan to pick some up. Again, right around this area, 295. This would definitely be a great opportunity too here at around 288. But again, if I don't think it's gonna come all the way down to retest at 200. But if it does, boy oh boy, I mean it'll get really, really interesting, and I do think we're gonna have a huge bounce right off that area. It'll most probably, you'll see a wick reaching down to it, but then just getting bought up immediately and regaining maybe the 200. We've seen that many times with other projects, other coins happen. So again, with the community and the support that Link has got, the momentum it's got behind it, I do see that happening for sure. Let's look at the daily. Yeah, daily again, just retesting the bottom of the triangle formation there. and it is looking pretty exhausted. So let's look at the RSI, see what the RSI is telling us. Yeah, I mean, looking like it wants to come down even more. It's currently in the neutral zone, but it does look like it wants to come down. And that's the daily, guys. So I do hold plenty of weight on the daily candle. I don't think we looked at the 4 hour. Yeah, no, we did. It's actually, I mean, just submerged in the bearish zone. So again, this move to the downside is becoming more and more likely. Um, and you know not and you know you won't hear me say this very often, but uh, in the case of Chainlink, I don't think it's going to completely follow on what Bitcoin is doing, because it has shown in the last few months, at least in the last quarter or quarter and a half, that Chainlink kind of has a mind of its own, and it's marching to the beat of its own drum. So if Bitcoin tanks, I don't necessarily, I mean, obviously it will tank, but if Bitcoin goes on a run to test the $12,400 range again, I don't necessarily think or see Link chasing after it. I really don't. I do think it's due for a correction, because it has been going on massive runs in the last quarter and a half. Actually, just we'll just say it's since the beginning of the year. So it's definitely in a correction is definitely impending. So this could be the time. This could be the right time to do it, because overall, again, I do feel very bullish on Bitcoin, and if Chainlink is due for a correction, this will be the most opportune time for it to happen, so that it can regain its more bullish posture and just follow along with the rest of the market, definitely with Bitcoin. And talking about those, great huge moves. Let's go from pivot low to pivot high here. We'll use the wicks. I mean, just 325% run in, what is this? 96 bars, 16 days. Just 16 days. That is, God, that is incredible. If you bought in down here back in June 13th, since June 13th, gosh, I don't know about you guys, but that just makes me salivate. Let's actually go back to, looks like May here. Let's go back to May, right around this April 30th, we'll call it. I mean, this is ridiculous. 924% in 60 days. Tell me about another market that does that. So if you're in traditional markets right now, and this doesn't convince you of a good reason to be in crypto markets, then nothing will. Um, Nothing will absolutely convince you that this is the place to be for a very long time coming in the future. Until we have a multi-trillion-dollar market cap, I don't see these sort of volatile, potential gains such as almost 1,000% gains um, come to a stop anytime soon again, until we have a multiple trillion-dollar market cap. And we do see a lot of these shitcoin projects just fall off the map and have a little bit of consolidation, and more people putting their money where it really belongs, and not, hopefully not in some random shitcoin on the 10th page of Coin Market Cap. So looking forward to that, definitely. So that's Chainlink. That's all I got for you guys. Wait for that correction. I do think it's coming. It's definitely impending. And the last thing I want to look at is XRP. I told you guys in my last video, it did look like it was going to breach it, and it actually did. But then Bitcoin acted as a savior, in my opinion, because it did have a couple of nice candles to the upside. And we do see here XRP joining in that and regaining the bottom of this formation here, acting as support. So the fact that it regained it is pretty good. Makes me feel not as bearish. I was a bit more bearish back when I did my last video. I did think, because again, the 377, it broke the 200, it broke the 377, which it hadn't done in a while. Let's look at this here. Any time that it broke it, it regained it and stayed above it. Lost it here, but regained it, lost it here, regained it, and then really just, rallying off of it here and just staying on top of the 200. There was a stretch. Anytime we lose it for a good period of time, like we did here, we stay below it and we start to get bearish on anything, pretty much any altcoin that you look at. Anytime it breaches the 200 to the downside, it does tend to stay there for a little bit. Um, so all in all, I do see some resilience here on the part of XRP, but not we can't say that it's in a safe place yet. It definitely regained the bottom of this flag here, this ascending wedge, if you will. Um, but it's kind of trading in the middle, in between all these moving averages, and not really looking like it wants to retest any of this area. I did have a bounce off the 21 EMA here on the RSI, so I mean potentially we could make a run and actually get above these, which would be nice to see. I don't hold XRP myself, but on behalf of the XRP army, I think I speak that it would be nice to have a little bit of continuation and momentum here with the RSI go onto the upside and actually regain the 200. If we regain the 200, then again, look how we bounce off of it, and we have really healthy bounces off of it. Every time we see that, boom, like it touched it here. This was a really nice bounce, really positive reaction to testing the 200 here and here, right? Also here and also here and here. And again, once we broke it, we have remained under it for a significant amount of time. Hopefully, this will not continue. Again, I think I'm speaking on behalf of the XRP army. Although I recently watched, and I'll leave the link to this interview. I recently watched an interview with Mr. Schwartz, who happens to be the CTO of Ripple Labs, XRP Ripple. And I really appreciate his honesty and his bluntness, coming out and really saying that adoption has been really difficult. It hasn't been as easy and as colorful as they initially thought it was going to be with banks. I know you hear just about every other day that XRP has a new partnership. They're partnering with XYZ Bank pretty much on a daily basis. But he comes out and he sets the record straight. He says, "Hey, you know what? Actually, adoption has been really difficult. Not as cut and dry as we originally thought. Even though this technology is life changing, is industry changing. A lot of banks are more on the fearful side of regulation, and they want to play things with a lot of caution. And he does see this technology in the near future." Getting more into the payment processing area of things, and maybe settlements, cross-border settlements, like it has, but just not a whole lot of bank adoption as originally thought. So really did appreciate that. I thought it was a great interview. A lot of great questions were asked, and he answered all of them with a lot of honesty, in my opinion. So I'll leave the description if you want to look at that, and just have your own opinion. Um, but it is telling of what we're seeing here on the chart with Ripple. Actually, let's zoom out a bit. Um, Squeeze it back down. A lot of consolidation here with XRP. We got into well, that's prior 2017. I mean, um, you know, it hasn't really joined in all the fun with Bitcoin here. And this could be something that is correlated. Not again, I'm not a big fan of calling news and attaching them to price action, but I mean just 67% when altcoins like such as Link and Litecoin have done way above that. I mean several times above that. I mean, it could be a number of things, right? What Mr. Schwartz was saying is, the adoption hasn't been there really, and we could see that, this could be correlated to that, right? This could be the showing of that lack of adoption here, or it could be just consolidation around this price area. But it also could be, a lot of former XRP back holders just jumping into Link or other Litecoins, perhaps, and definitely a lot of XRP back holders maybe jumping back into Bitcoin, right? Because obviously we see this number here tick up on the constant, right? So it could be a number of things. But it is a bit worrisome for me. I personally entered a trade earlier on, about a month and a half ago, when we saw the golden cross in XRP, but then we didn't see do much with it. So I decided to exit my trade with XRP. Still the number three coin. So this could just be again a consolidation period, and then we'll see XRP have more of a character like move that we expect out of XRP. All right. So that's all I got for you guys for this weekend edition of Evening Crypto. Hopefully you got something out of this, and hopefully you're looking forward to the next week like I am. I do think we're going to see some interesting stuff. I am overall bullish with these coins we just went over. If there is a coin or project that you want me to look at, definitely leave it down in the comments. Let me know. I will be more than happy to look at it. But I usually, again, stick to these top 15, top 20 coins because they have the most liquidity. Crypto markets are very risky markets to invest in as it is. So if you take that and then add a lack of liquidity on top of that, then it's just, in my opinion, it's just something that I don't want to get into. I do love my money, and I want to keep it on my pocket, not somebody else's. So that's my reason for that. But it doesn't mean we can't look at other projects, right? I'll be happy to look at any chart that you guys like and get my overall opinion. And again, if you're not following me on Twitter or Instagram, definitely follow me on those platforms as well. I do usually post regular content there about charts, updates, news, events, that sort of thing. So definitely follow me there. The Real Shaw 256 at Twitter and at Instagram. All right, guys. Thanks so much for your attention. Hopefully you got something out of it in exchange for your time. And I will see you guys on the next one.